for the music will be played in the following Mrazkova and representing the Czech Republic. Olivia and Prix, representing Spain. Lilah, Gibson, representing Great Britain. Marie-Jade, Smolkin, representing Georgia. And Tkachenko and Alexei representing Israel.
And welcome back. We are here still in Allen, Texas. We are going to be watching the ice dance practice now. We're going to have 5 skaters in this grouping. Super excited to be watching this. Obviously, that's something that I Now, ice dance used to be composed of a lot of compulsory dance, the framing and whatnot, and all of that that's built behind it. And this year what they're doing is they're taking parts of the paso doble for the partial step sequence. So everyone will be doing their own version of the opening steps, being from the slips with the change of edge, starting with what is one of the partner's mohawks. Now, what you can do this year is you can be switching in terms of the classic female-male role of leading and following partnering. That is no longer needed, and what they do now is there's just role 1 and role 2 essentially, and what either partner can be doing what used to be the leader's steps. So you might see the difference of some of the leaders starting this backwards. Some of them you might be starting forwards, and you're going to start seeing that the required steps, ooh, that was close. And that is the thing with ice dance, is that it starts to get a little tight out here. You can start to see when people are experienced or not as experienced, trying to take your space without making that space be pushed around. In that partial step, to continue on it, the first step that would be called would be the outside mohawk, which was also your C step, excuse me, and then we will be doing a selection of other turns which will be required, and the teams will be finishing with the last cross roll section of the Paso Doble. First to skate, we have the brother-sister duo from the Czech Republic.
The Beatles, who originated as a small-time act out of Liverpool, now have no rivals as the kingpins of the teenage set.
You feel like it permits to the dance style that you're doing. I personally don't know if doing a cartwheel is very dancey, but they do it well, and it's something of an intriguing moment. Now in ice dance, something for me, I'm obviously very, very picky. I think the moments when you're not doing a full run through, but you're in this in-between right here, even though you're setting up an element, in this moment, this is what I'm looking for, is if that team can stay engaged together, even when they're not connected, I'm going to be more enticed to watch them. This is the Paso Doble sequence. You'll see he's going to do this outside mohawk here. He's going to go around her. Different interpretation than the original dance, but it's there. Back inside rocker there, so now there'll be 2 more turns, and they're both going to be executed by her. We're going to go right inside bracket. Oh, left outside. Interesting. Everyone has their own strengths with it. Back inside counter. So you're only allowed to do 4 steps, and that's going to be each level for you. Each turn is almost a level. And that's why you can have such a difference with some of these teams getting base values if you're not getting any turns, level 1s, and to get a level 4, you have to do 4 clean turns, which may sound easy on paper, but the level of difficulty to get those turns is very hard. High energy performance by the brother-sister duo from the Czech Republic.
Now, Olivia and Dieck, representing Spain. To be followed by Lilah.
Up next, the Spanish duo, Olivia and Tim. think something that, as we discussed in the last session, understanding how to set those energy points, all the space. Pattern step where we will be doing a footwork, a midline step, and a choreo step. This will be your choreo step here, where it's purely just showing that dancing, trying your best to show as much as that social dancing as you can get. Pretty solid skate for Olivia and Tim. I think I'd like to see them let it go a little bit more. I think that understanding, again, setting that energy for the day. They don't compete. Ice dance doesn't compete until Saturday, but I think letting that go a little bit more will build that trust for themselves. Up next from Great Britain, Lilah and Lewis. As you watch this team, you should watch for the clarity that they have as a unit in terms of, like, not just the unison, but I think that they're so on the same page of where they would like to be doing things. Everything is structured, organized, and aware of where they want to be going. So I think from just personal experience, like competing against them, I think they're one of the most professional teams I've ever seen compete and train. It's the same product when they compete to how they train it. Setting themselves up there for the PST. They have a really relaxed feel with what's being produced. Midline step. Now, obviously what we're looking for is that dance style, but how can you create that dance style while doing difficult turns at the same time? Don't let me know it's hard. Good performance from Lilah on this one. You can see that she's really starting to feel this. I think we could probably try to find a way. I'd love to see them be a little bit closer. In terms of that energy alignment too, I feel like they're a little bit off today from what I've seen them do before. The moves don't feel like they're all working together at the same time. Even that shift seemed a little tiny bit off. Again, first practice, nerves, jitters, all the things, getting that spacing. A lot of content with that.
Skating the rhythm dance.
Just love to see a little bit more breathing room within it.
Representing Georgia. To be followed by Elizabeth
The
Tkachenko
Georgians,
and Alexei
Diana and Gleb. Corners at these rinks sometimes can feel really quick, like as in they get to you a lot faster than you anticipate, and then you end up scratching or feeling that tightness. Notice that a little bit from Gleb at the end there. Crank the toes a little bit just to slow down because you don't want to obviously board yourself. But yeah, I like what I'm seeing. See the interpretation they take to their pattern stop step. There's your flip step you're looking for to start it. First step being that mohawk too, so that we can get calls to our level. Rocker, followed by bracket. Prior to that, she had done a counter. That outside edge, I think we could see it be done a lot stronger from a team with this caliber of skating skill, I think. Sometimes I find, particularly in ice dance, other disciplines as well, but I think that sometimes what you see is a little bit of a trying too hard, and that's when your energy level's not matched the same as your partner. It's very hard to be on the same wavelength as them all the time, but in these moments, to the naked eye, you won't see that it's just a little off. Just a little off.
Skating the rhythm dance, Elizabeth Tkachenko and Alexei Kiliakov representing Israel.
From Israel, Elizabeth and Alexei. Full circle moment. I remember watching Alexei when he was in juvenile, and now look at him, he's at a Grand Prix. It's very cool to see these skaters grow up and pursue their dreams. Very hard entrance to the twizzle. Execution was a little tough. And spacing was a little far. think this team is having some good things with what they're doing. I find that I'm missing a little bit of that partnering quality in terms of like I would love to see like I said, a great partner is someone who invites their partner into the space, and I feel like it's very structured, which structure is nice, but I want to feel like that connection is a little bit more together throughout this. Quite a bit of two-foot skating in that choreo step.
There are approximately 15 minutes remaining in this practice session.
I wasn't a huge fan of the music choices with that one, but I think that they were feeling it themselves, so I think it In ice dance, there's a lot of space to make sure that you find the right windows on a lot of things. I mean, there's nothing worse than starting an element and then having to re-dive halfway through, stop it, and restart it. So it's about finding your right windows to do things, respecting that space, because sometimes people are pretty stubborn and they're not going to move, which I understand we've all done before, but finding your windows is a lot easier thing, just to really be excellent at that timing, knowing when to show up, when to do it, and when it's time to just, we're not going to try right now, because it's going to start getting congested, and that's when it's like a little game of chicken, which isn't super duper fun. I used to love doing practices. I thought they were so much fun. Like I said, right after you got your performance run through done for the day, I always thought it was such a fun experience to be out there, because you're now in the place of not hopefully overthinking too much. You get to have that fun moment knowing that you're not out there alone. You do have your partner with you, and no, it depends obviously on the relationship and friendship you have with your partner, but I think that it's such a fun experience to just be able to share that. It was always kind of like a luxury in a way that it's like the hard work has been done. Doesn't mean that there isn't hard work on its way, but really take in that moment and allow yourself to take in the arena, take in the environment, and just love it. I'm seeing a lot of crossovers within this transition. Now, they are powerful and they're done well. I think that there's ways that you can mask those, hide them, and find ways to make them look a little bit more danced and less like now's our time to push. I lose that feeling of ice dance and I'm getting a lot of power, which isn't a bad thing, but it's about how do you keep the integrity of what ice dance was, and how do you make it better, but keeping the real aspects of ice dance built into it: partnering, togetherness, oneness. Challenging lift there. Awesome. So we're starting to get a couple questions in. Got our first one from Emily, and you asked, how do teams usually strategize for a practice like this? Why is it so rare for them to do full run-throughs? Also, why do ice dancers go all out in costume, makeup, hair for practices when other disciplines don't? Well, to answer the first part of that question, Emily, I think the strategy all comes down to, one, personal preference, two, understanding when you're competing. So I think that, like, I found that now they have another practice day tomorrow, which means most likely based off of this, all of them will be doing free dance tomorrow, so you're doing alternate days on this. But I think in terms of that like strategy for even just the performance that they put out, I think that one, you want to make sure that you're still finding moments to recover, because the training up until an event like this is very, very intense. And then two, on top of that, like what's maybe a hotter spot for you as a team? Like, do you find that you want to really make sure the patterning or the turns for your midline is set up well, or are you a team that wants to really just skate transitions and let that thing loose? Do you want to perform more and let that go more? I know that for Caitlin and I, just personally speaking, we loved like the day of the competition, like in the morning on the warm-up, we did more of a technical one to just like make sure we were clear on all of our cues and spacing for things. And prior to that, if it was the day before, we really wanted to feel and get emotionally connected to our performance and show our potential of who we are and show parts of us within it. Now, I think it's so rare for full run-throughs in ice dance particularly is because like we're trying to maximize our ability to show the technical panel and the judges that are watching the cleanliness of our elements. Now, that doesn't say that it's not going to be that in a run-through, but ice dance is so challenging in its own way that you want to basically put yourself in a scenario where you're showing the best of what you can do at all times while keeping your audience, judges, anyone in the arena engaged, even you at home. How do I keep you engaged the whole time? So sometimes doing a full performance may be a little lackluster on your first or second practice because you're kind of trying to take in that environment. So I think that's a big thing. And then in terms of the costume, makeup, and hair for practices, that's a great question because everyone does it. I think everyone does it. And then if you don't do it, I think there might be the perception that you could be considered a little lazy or whatnot, but I like the idea that people really like to show what the essence of the program can be and set themselves apart and really give the audience and the judges the full perception of what their program can be and is going to be. So I hope that answers it quite a bit. Hey Jean-luc, hey Jean-luc, hey Jean-luc. We all know twizzles are hard, but what is your favorite position of skaters to hit in a twizzle? Also, love the little hey Jean-luc, hey Jean-luc, hey Jean-luc reference. I'm sure Caitlin's going to love that one. So to answer your question with that, I think that my favorite position to see in a twizzle, I mean, I may be a little biased on this one. Like I always loved a Hubble Donahue leg out twizzle because they stapled that one to be so strong because of their ice coverage and power they omitted. But I think that like me, what I love isn't necessarily the position that they create, but how does that music make the position be created? Does it make sense with your music? Am I doing a leg out because it's more trusting and more consistent for me, or am I doing a leg out because like the music calls for it? Now, when you do a leg out twizzle, you can create a little bit more power and amplitude to your movement, but it's harder to be closer. When you do a coupe or a grab leg, you can be a lot closer, but it's a little bit more dangerous to go full speed over the ice because like the rotational speed will be faster. It's just kind of a picking and choosing based off of one, the team's strengths, and two, what does the music call for? Does it call for a fast, rotating, connected twizzle or more an over the ice kind of speed twizzle? Hopefully that answers that up. We're going for the second group now. In this group, we have 2 Canadians and 3 US teams as of right now. Looks like we only have 2 US teams on the ice currently. I know there was a last-minute add to this event, so we will see. Maybe they're opting out and staying at home and training one more day since there's another day of practice tomorrow. It's crazy how much more room it feels like there is on the practice ice when there's only 4 teams on. One of the teams, Annabelle and Jeffrey, are not here yet, I believe, or they might be traveling here. But when you just have 4 teams on the ice, it makes such a difference in terms of breathing room. It actually feels a lot more chill. And even at the Grand Prix final, they only have 3 on the ice at a time. And that is awesome because most of the time you're looking at an Olympic size rink with 3 teams. There is like more than enough room. When it starts getting intense is you're getting your last groupings when it's really intense at events, especially going into the free dance and you're on an NHL size rink and everyone's fighting for that space in a 5-minute block. I think that's when the intensity starts really getting up there. It was almost more nerve-wracking than the event itself sometimes. I know that's the one thing I loved so much when we were competing is that I was like, at least I know that no one's going to get in our way because we're out there alone. We got another question. In terms of the different brackets, counters, and rockers, which are the most difficult and the easiest? And do I have a favorite to do? Oh my gosh. Do I have a favorite? To answer the favorite, I would for sure say probably a right forward outside rocker or right forward inside counter. They just, like when you really hit them, they just feel good. It's all about, I mean, at the end of the day, there's very clear technical cues, but I think that within them, I think that there is like an internal timing that makes them work. Not fighting or forcing. It's all about finishing lobes. I mean, skating at the end of the day is this inside and outside edges. So taking your time to finish those turns really omits and creates a space for the turn to feel good. Now, in terms of brackets, they don't feel awesome. They're actually really hard to get called because they roll a lot, like on the entry edge. So now if you have a team doing a bracket fast over the ice, in reference to a 1-foot section. Like I always find that it's really hard to get a bracket when you're going full speed. But if you're going a little slower, it's easier to articulate those edges. I mean, think about old school figures. They were not done at full pelt, and now we're trying to create clean turns like back when figures were around, but now we're trying to add much more speed. So I think brackets on the ice. Go a little bit more. Come on, we're doing some jailhouse rock. Don't make me feel like it's stuck in a jail cell. Let it go. Because I know they got it in them to let that go. But also, at the end of the day, they're trying to get those clean turns. And most of the time in the rhythm dance, we do have 5 elements. So you'll see most teams doing 4 of the 5 in their run-throughs. From Alicia here, how she's really letting that go. That's what I want to see in the midline. You get 1 impression, you get 1 shot to do it. Now I'm feeling it. Interesting question here from Simon Briggs. What's your thoughts on the reviews of technical panels being listed in the arena? You know what? I think that would be super interesting to when they do have reviews that they were put on the Jumbotron. It probably wouldn't feel awesome as a skater to know exactly what they're looking at, but most of the time you finish and you're like, yeah, I know they're going to look for that. But I think that having an audience perspective of what they're looking for, I think would be really interesting. Up next from Canada, Marie-Jade and Romain. Musicality here, clear. That one could go a little bit faster because the music feels like it wants to. Executed okay. I wasn't blown away with that. I know it's challenging, but I think that a little bit more energy within it would have been awesome. Starting that passo step. Boom.
Skating now, Madison Chock and Bates, representing the United States of America. To be followed by
Fun skate by Marie-Jade and Romain. Up next, Madison and Evan. mistake there from Madison. Little mistake, but could be costly if that were to happen in this event. Very fun interpretation already. Wow, a lot is going on, but in a good way. Looking for that spacing, but where we're gonna really hit that GOE, not just on the spacing. For a team like this, everyone's watching, so we wanna see that dance. We wanna see you guys set the scene of what the expectation is. A lot of music choices. Very, very different than what you're seeing from other couples, but I think that it can be very interesting if done well, but clearly has a high, high level of energy requirement to keep this up. You're constantly changing, so trying to find the ebbs and flows of this program will be a challenge, but when they can get it, I think it can be a very impactful piece. Still going, I like the changes. We're going through all the generations right now. Now, I really do appreciate a team that, although it's not part of the level part of the paso doble step sequence, but I do really appreciate still seeing the integrity of the dance in terms of seeing that change edge that they do when they're facing one another before that required mohawk step. If we can really get that, like when we were doing old compulsory dances, you saw it go from almost the center of the ice all the way to the boards in that short amount of time. So I think that when you see stamina. But I do like it. I do like it. I think it's going to be a really fun performance, and understanding that it's early October right now, how that can grow throughout the season. They look like they're in a great spot right now.
Representing the United States of America.
The next couple is not here for practice right now, so I will go and check Twitter to see if anything has come up. How did you and Caitlin come up with program ideas? Were you always on the same page? Not always. We both have very different imaginations, but we always found a way to incorporate both of our visions into what we wanted, in terms of finding that we really strove for allowing parts of ourselves to be in our performances and who we were, because that's when we loved what we did the most. So I think that finding a healthy balance of always meeting in the middle, I think was a huge skill and a huge strength of ours. Why does Madison Chock always look so perfect? What a great question. You know, I don't think perfect is attainable, but I think she just really knows who she is and who she wants to become. And that may be the perception of perfection to some eyes. And she just trusts who she is. You'll start seeing some of the teams now switching over to probably doing some more of their free dance. They've probably hit their cap of how much rhythm dance they'd like to do, unless there was a little mistake. You might see, if there was some mistakes, you might see another Chock Bates twizzle set. They also might leave it because they trust that they know how to do it.
Stating their rhythm dance, Leah, Neset and Markelov.
Up next,
Representing the
Leah
United
and
States of
Artem.
America.
Back. It's lacking a little bit of that connection in the midline. It was very executed one and next to each other, but I find that I'm missing this like and I think that like you can kind of see a little bit of that maturity still developing within their skating. I think they have the potential to be a really nice team with their qualities. Impressive lift there. Does not look super comfortable physically, but they make it look easy for them. Yeah, I think just like an overarching thing, they just need a little bit more time in my opinion, and I think that I would love to just see them dance a lot more. It's very skated through. I think within ice dance, what's super interesting is understanding that, like, when you're at a world championships, when there are 30 plus rhythm dances, I think that, like, finding ways to set yourself apart is going to be super interesting and super hard to do. I mean, understanding the event can take up to 3+ hours. And when we all have similar programs to an extent, I mean, you're trying to find different ways to keep that interest there, to keep that not just ability of skating skill, but it can become redundant when you're hearing similar music, when you're hearing similar cuts of music even. So I think that finding ways to keep the audience interested, to keep the judging panel interested, and to keep it fresh and light, not even for them, but just for yourselves as well, is something that I find is a challenging task, but when you do find your rhythm of it, I think it's really cool. There you see Paul Ayer locking into the camera. He does love his eye contact, Paul Ayer. I think that what I did admire with that, though, just that small interaction, as I mentioned earlier, about how you can really enjoy these practices, like knowing that the work is done to an extent, but I think that just like allowing yourself to have this moment, to take it in, to see where you are, to see, like, you're at a Grand Prix, that you're getting to do what you love, getting to represent your country. I think that it's so hard to appreciate with all of the noise that goes on around competing, with the stress and whatnot, to just be able to take 4 seconds, 3 seconds for you and your partner to just have a moment of appreciation, I think is so awesome. And just seeing that then is very heartwarming. So as this practice wraps up, last couple of minutes of it, you can see that up next we're going to have the men's followed by the pairs for the rest of the day. The women and the ice dance will be finished. They'll go and do their things, get treatments, recovery. I would probably imagine some of them will be taking a nap. I know that was something I loved when I went and competed, is the amount of sleep that I would try to get, and also the access to as much PT as I possibly could get. So those PTs and I are really good friends. Also, just being able to go try the local cuisine. In terms of when you can watch this rhythm dance, you'll be seeing the rhythm dances on Saturday. They will be all streamed on Peacock, and yeah, love to see you guys there if you're not tuning in tomorrow. Here you see Madeline Evans starting a midline step sequence again, wanting to really just nail those turns in. Again, you can get those +4s and +5s in GOE, and if you're hitting the level 3s, even level 4s, I mean, level 4s are like the unicorn of the sport in ice dance, I'm not going to lie. They don't come around often. You might see one complete level 4 in the whole ice dance event between the rhythm dance and the free dance. And that's not even a level 4 from both partners. That might just be one partner. And even then, it's very, very rare. Like, to be able to say that all of your turns are clean means that you're getting a clean bracket and a clean mohawk, which are going to be your 2 hardest turns or steps to get. I find that getting Choctaws, rockers, and counters should be, for the most part, doable at this level and this caliber of skating. Now, understanding that when you're performing and you're really in it, sometimes you just make a small little error of a rolling of an edge, and that rolling of an edge gives your competitor the edge. You see Alicia and Paul here doing the leg out twizzle I was discussing. Now, they did cover quite a bit of ice there, but they closed that gap after the first one to go for 2 and 3 because they can't physically get closer when those legs are out. They could have maybe got maybe 2 inches closer, but not that much noticeably. But again, it's all perception and how you, with the camera angle or the angle of which you're doing it. A lot of the time, it's the illusion of which way you're doing your turns, your twizzles. You can show your distance or lack of distance, if that's the case, by just the placement of these elements. It's so crucial, and the amount of time that we put into choreographing and finding ways to make sure that all of this is so perceived by particularly your judges, but understanding that you're performing for a 360 size arena. You want all of the audience to be able to appreciate what you're doing, not just the people giving you the points. as you saw, there was Chock Bates got off quite early. They were complete with what they needed, not needing to reach more to get more from their practice. Really great ice dance practices across the board. I think it's going to be a really fun event to watch this, and I'm really excited to just see people bring it in that rhythm dance. We got another day of practice tomorrow, so I know that there'll be a lot of decompression happening now, kind of detaching from that experience, learning from it, finding out what cues worked, what didn't, and then having some rest. And here is the rest of today's schedule. We have the men's practice next with the pairs after that. For the men's practice, I will have a very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and the only rocker skating, Mr. Jackie Wong. I am very excited to have his expertise and give me his insight. So please follow along and let me know how that goes. We're going to be checking in with you tomorrow, Saturday, actually, excuse me. The Ice Dance Rhythm Dance will be at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you can watch it on Peacock. Can't wait to see you there.
We welcome you to the most important annual event in American skating. It's anyone's game when the skaters take the ice tonight at Nationals. Ham and O'Shea win the gold medal. Simply the best in the world.
The way that he moves across the ice is just like butter.
March 25th through the 30th, 2025, the world comes to Boston and the TD Garden. Over 300 of figure skating's best will compete at the 2025 ISU World Figure Skating Championships for the title of World Champion. The world's most celebrated skating competition returns to Boston and the United States for the first time in 9 years, and you can be there. Advance tickets are on sale now. Visit ISUWorlds2025.com for more information and to buy your tickets today.